Hello, I am Sensei Kevlar. Welcome back to the Dojo. Thank you all so much for joining me. I really appreciate the time that you're taking to master your profitability. Now, I want to remind you that this is not financial advice. Anything that happens to your plan, any plans that you're making, any automation on your own portfolio is entirely your responsibility. What I'm about to show you is how I do my own portfolio, and I appreciate the courtesy that you take when viewing it. This is, my demo account for showing you guys how this works, and I'm trying to show you what it is that I do in order to make automation work for me. And I hope that you can take away those lessons for yourself and apply them for yourself, because you're certainly invited to. In the past, what we've discussed is we've talked about how to dollar cost average our way down the market, and the need for planning and the need for automation. And at the end of all of that, what we did was we broke down everything that we had done into a way of making a plan, and we wanted to automate that planning. And what we did is we described the chart in terms, or more specifically the opportunity, in terms of a range. Just pulling up a chart here. Sure, we'll do Bitfinex. Or what is this? Yeah. We described it in terms of a range that we're going to trade. And then we described that range in terms of an integral that we wanted to integrate our allocation over. Okay. So for instance, if I said that I wanted to allocate, I thought Ethereum could go as high as $1,400, wherever this is. And I'm here. I would think it can come down as high as $50 right here. We describe this in terms of an integral, and we describe the integral in terms of a function of where it is that we're allocating and where it is we're doing our distribution according to our plan. So today I want to show you two ways in which you can make that type of plan, this type of plan right here, a reality through automation, and have the automation basically do a lot of the planning for you. Now, I really got to caution that this does not eliminate the need to understand how to plan. Automating the plan just means that you can automate screwing up. And I'm really serious about that. You can automate shooting yourself in the foot. You can automate doing all kinds of bad things to your portfolio if you do not understand what it means to make a plan and how the plan operates. You do not understand how to look at the plan and look at exactly what's going to happen on this chart. If you can't look at the plan as it's mapped out on your automation and say, well, obviously it's going to do this now, don't turn on that plan. Don't enable that automation. You need to understand what's going on here. So we're going to do it the manual way, and then we're going to do it the automated way. The manual way is what we're looking for opportunities where the market will pivot. We mark those opportunities in terms of a percentage above or below our current position. So let's say that our dollar cost average for our current position, let's say we bought, at the top of the market, and, it's today, and this is today. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a plan moving forward. We're going to say, well, in the past, I think it can go as low as, $13. I think that's probably a good low for Ethereum. So I'm going to set my low for 13. I'm going to set my high for, $1,400. It certainly hit that, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my current, dollar cost average, and I'm going to say, well, what I want to do is I want a dollar cost average on this next part right here. This line right here, this line right here, and this line right here forms the places where I'm going to be doing my dollar cost averaging. Okay. This line right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, if this is my current position right here, you know, 800 and something dollars, the first place that I want to be dollar cost averaging on down is what I can do is I can hold down shift and click, and I can say, well, that's about 25%. Okay. So the next place down, percent-wise, that I want to be dollar cost averaging, 25%. Let's make our plan. So this is ETH USD, and I want to have a high of 1,400 and a low of $12.50. Okay. First DCA is 25. My current cost is $800 because that's where I bought Ethereum at. And my first dollar cost average beneath that is 25%. Okay. My second dollar cost average beneath that, we're going to shift click there, and we're going to measure that percentage right there. It's about 15%, right? Coming up 14.9. There we go. Here's 15% right there. Okay. So my second DCA is at 15% below that. Okay. Everyone following so far? My current cost is 800. That's what I bought it at. My first DCA is 25% below 800. My second dollar cost average is 15% below my first DCA. Wherever this thing landed. Turns out it was just above 600. Okay. Second one was 500. Third one was, boy, they love these round numbers, huh? 400? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and make that 400 because look, it just came up to 400 and went bop right there, right? Resistance. Okay, so now we're using our technical analysis in order to strengthen our plan. We're saying at this time maybe we don't want to do this buying, but then this comes down here. Look at our technical support. Our technical support tells us it's time to buy. Okay, so maybe we skipped these two and we just did this one, right? Okay, so we make this plan initially, and then we come in here and we say we're not going to buy. Technical support says no. Okay. Then we're going to have our third DCA from our original plan. This plan got modified halfway through when technical support told us it wasn't time to buy yet. But now, here we are, and technical support is telling, or our technical analysis here is telling us that it's time to buy. We have RSI down in the 20s. We have MACD crossings. We have VISFIX indicators. So our technical analysis allowed us to eliminate these from actuating, but then told us to DCA here. So what we ended up actually doing, so we ended up waiting, from 800. This is where we started. We ended up waiting for a 50% loss, right? So third DCA is either come on. There we go. Third DCA is either 20% below second DCA or 50% below original cost. Okay. Then we're going to have the fourth one down here, 236, right? And keep going and keep going and keep going, making all of our buying plan all the way down to 12%, and then optimizing that, not actually doing any buying because technical analysis told us not to. Okay. Now, what we want to do, look at that, we made money. Okay. What we want to do is we want to take this plan and we want to automate it. this plan right here, right? This should be familiar at this point. This type of plan making. Let me see what's going on in the chat room real quick. Yeah, you guys still having lag problems? Because everything's green on my end, so I'm going to keep going here. Because I usually get, you know, yellow and red when I have connection problems. What I was saying was that I want to make this plan automated. And what I'm going to say is I'm going to figure out my dollar cost average, right? So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to pretend that we're back in the realm of 800, right? For just 1 second. I'm going to add a pivot. ETH USD. Okay. And what we're doing here is we're saying... Oh, the other thing that we would need to figure out is we need to figure out just how much we're buying, right? Right. Here we're going to buy, 5 positions at 25% below. Here we're going to buy 25 positions at 15% below. Here we're going to buy 250 positions at 20% below. Right. This is our normal DCA progression. Right, here we did a 5x, here we did a 2x. I'm sorry, here we did a 5x, and here we did a 10x. Right? So, now what we want to do is we want to make that a reality. So the first thing I said was I want to figure out how much I'm actually allocating to this opportunity. You can see that according to this, I have this much Ether in my wallet. This is my allocation, and this is my wallet balance. Right now, I have my allocation disabled, which means it's going to track my wallet balance. But what I can do is I can say, well, I really only want to pretend that I have 5 Ether. Okay. What this does is this tells the strategy that we're really working with 5 Ether, even though our wallet amount is 10 Ether. It's like it's hiding a good 5.2 Ether from here, right? We're good? Yeah, I'm still green on my end, so I'm going to keep going here. What we're doing is we're telling this that we are allocated at... We have an allocation of 5 Ether, and that's what we're pretending we have, right? So if it does any selling, it'll never sell more than 5 Ether, and any buying, it will add to our allocation, and it will track for us our dollar cost average. It actually computed this amount based upon all of my buying and selling. Now, if you have a different amount, if you compute your dollar cost average to be something else, then you can tell it that and you can start working from there. For instance, I could tell it, I have a dollar cost average of $800. And now it thinks that my Ether is worth $800 and it's going to be working from there, right? And what we want to do is we want to tell it in our allocation behavior that one position is $50. Or, sorry, one position, let's do $10, right? One position is $10, okay? What that means is that when we do our establishing amount, right now, if we have 0 Ether, if we have 0, right, we're going to buy one position. That's our establishing amount. When you turn this on, it'll establish your position if you have an allocation of 0. So it'll buy $10 worth of Ether. Okay? It'll then dollar cost average you and figure out that you're position is, going to be 102 because you're presently bought. So let's go back to having this at 112 because that's, what my ether is really worth. Dollar cost averaged. Now, sorry, I got a question here. Okay, so with my position and allocation figured out, what I want to do is I want to establish one position. That means buy one position. And what I want to do is I want to do a multiplier, right? And I'm saying my allocation multiplier, it's going to figure it out, right? What did I say it was? I said it was 7, and I wanted it to be 525 and 250. 525 and 250. Okay. I've got a bug in the code here. 525 and 250. There we go. That's the way. That's right. You got to enter it all as one string. Okay. So, and then what we're going to do is we're going to allocate at, what we say? We said 25, 15, and 20. Okay. So here we're saying 6, 25, 15, 20. Okay. Well, what I just did is I just programmed my plan. Just as I spelled it out here. I said at 25% below my current position is 112, it will buy 5 times one position, or $50 worth of ether. Okay? Then it will dollar cost average me. It will figure out however much I spent, and it will do my DCA. And it will bring my position down. Okay? So if we're here on the chart, in terms of, let me pull up the chart. If we're here, and we're buying right here, what that's going to do is that's going to pull my position down to here. Right? It's my cost is now going to be somewhere in between this line and this line, somewhere around here, because I just bought 5 more positions than my starting position. Then the next thing it's going to do is it's going to wait for me to lose 15%. Come down to here. And then what it's going to do is it's going to buy 25 times 10, or $250 worth of ether. Okay? Which is going to drag my position down to here. Okay? Then it's going to wait for me to lose 20%. It's going to dollar cost average me and drag my position down, automated. You don't have to do any of the math. It's going to drag my position down. It's going to recompute my DCA, and then it's going to wait for me to lose 20%. And then it's going to buy 250 times 10. Well, that's $2,500 worth of ether. And it's going to make sure that it's always waiting 1 hour between buys. Let's make that T 3 days. Okay, make that 3 days. So now it'll wait 3 days between doing any buying. What you're doing is you're spacing out your buying over time. Okay, making sure that you don't just buy into a losing market, because if it goes here and then it goes right to here, well, you don't want to just keep buying blindly. You want to wait. You want to go ahead and hold off and wait buying and see, reassess. Give yourself 3 days to come in here and say, maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all to be buying so aggressively, or no, I want to change the plan or change where I'm allocating. Okay. Your maximum buy price, well, that's how, it won't buy above that. And then turning on trail stops is always a good idea. in markets that run. In markets that are spiky, they're no good. Trail stop percent will tell you how much it's going to trail by. And then, of course, in your distribution behavior, it's the same thing. What you're looking for here is you're looking for 10% profit. So what it's saying is anytime your position, your price goes 10% above your position, sell everything. It just sells your whole thing and then reestablishes one position. And then does the whole, and then you're going to have to reprogram the plan at that point. Okay. But what you're saying is, here I've done my DCA all the way down. Okay. And now I've made 10% on my money. It's gone 10% above my DCA. Go ahead and sell everything, right? But do so using a trailing stop. Okay. What we did is we automated the plan. We took our plan from our market and we plugged it directly into the automation, and we told the automation exactly what it is we want done. Okay. And the whole point was that now the only thing left to do is hit 3 and make this active and turn it on. And if you do not have an allocation, then it will establish an allocation. If you want to pretend you don't have an allocation and you just want to use this, ignoring what you already have to try and create a new opportunity for yourself, well, you can just set this to 0. Now, the first thing it's going to do is buy $10 worth of Ether. Okay? Then what it's going to do after that is it's going to take your allocation and start multiplying. Multiplying by 5, multiplying by 25, and multiplying by 250. This is just your establishing amount that establishes one position for you, because after that it's a multiplication against your allocation game. Which is why setting this is so important, because you don't really want to DCA this plan against all 10 Ether. You want to start small. You want to create opportunities using small allocations. You want to keep this small, and you want to make sure that when you get to here, you still got money left over. And when you get to beyond here, right, you still got money left over. That's planning. That's allocating correctly for when the market continues to go away from you, right? But would 10% on a trailing stop have made you money after you had DCA'd your way down into here? Yeah, it sure would have. Would 10% have made you money if you had DCA'd down into here? No, probably not. You'd probably still be DCAing today. No, you'd probably still be DCAing in all reality. You'd probably still be going right on down into a sinking market and still pouring money into this tub. Unless you're doing really, really, really aggressive trades, like getting right in here and just DCAing hard. But better have a plan for when that doesn't pop up like this. And instead it just, kind of putters along. You can't trade like that. That's not real. You can't count on this. That's not real. It happens sometimes and you want to be prepared for it. But it's not real. It's not going to happen this way every single time, no matter what your TA tells you, no matter how often this thing says, hey, look, we're on an incline. Look at this clear incline. Is my trend line going to work today? No, never does. Look at this clear incline on this trend line. We're on a clear volume incline. We're clearly at technical analysis lows Why is the market not coming back up? Could it still go down on us? Yes. Yeah, it can. Yeah, it can. Get used to it. Okay. So, this is really, really good in a market that you understand well, in a market that's at its bottom, in a market that you just want to make a quick buck on, in a market that you're testing things out on, in a market that you're allocating into. This is a great strategy. For a long-term plan like this, though, where you're going to be holding on to the ether, where it's not just a get-in, get-out situation, where you want to have a long-term relationship, and she feels the same way, you want to move in together and get married and have kids, you're going to need a better strategy. You're going to need more than this. You're going to need more than just, well, I'm always coming back here and redoing my DCA. It's endless, right? And it's a perfectly valid strategy, and don't make me think that it's not. So Asuka asks, why would I want a time between buys? Is that just a fail-safe? It's a great question, and it's partially a fail-safe, absolutely. Especially with like 3 days. Allows you to come in here and reassess. Is this still the plan? Has news changed the plan? Do I have a plan for changing the plan? What is the plan for coming in here? Do I come in here daily? Do I come in here hourly? What is the plan? What chart am I trading on? There's all kinds of things that affect the plan. Time is one of the things that affects the plan. Fail stops, failing, there's two aspects of the failure modes that occur, right? One aspect is the plan changes, just flat out. Time between buys can give you the time you need in order to change the plan. Just trying to help you out. So it's not sitting here frantically buying every 3 minutes and then you come back and you've bought your whole portfolio. Happens, okay? The other aspect of this is that if it's an advanced scheduling technique. Let's take a look at what happens if we're going to do some buying. And we know we're going to be doing our buying right here. And we know how much we're going to be doing our buying. We're going to be buying $2,500 right here. Because we're down here. Or whatever it is that we're going to be doing. And it's a big chunk, man. It's the biggest aspect of our DCA yet. Okay? Dragging that margin down? Dragging that profit margin down? Okay, well, there's two possibilities. Okay, one is that it keeps on going and we have to keep on buying. Right? If that's the case, then waiting would have been better. And spacing that $2,500 out into $250 buys over 10 days would have given you a better price. Instead of buying the $2,500 here, you bought $250 here, $250 here, $250 here, $250 here, $250 here, $250 here, $250 here. Look at how you're getting a better price. You're getting a better price because you implemented time between buys. Okay. What's the other alternative? It goes up and you're no longer in your buy target and you stop buying. Save yourself the money because now you're coming up to make profit and you don't need to. What if it sits here and does this? Well, you wait. Or if it sits here and comes back down, you reinstate the buy plan according to schedule. If you had $750 left of that $250,000 you were going to buy, then that's how much you continue to buy, $250 a day. Schedule your buys, okay? What's the third alternative? Well, the third alternative is it goes sideways. In which case, you have money in your account available for other opportunities for 9 days longer at a decreasing rate, rather than having spent it all up front so you can get in, get out quick on other opportunities with that money. There is so much virtue in patience. There is so much virtue in taking the long-term view of things. Look at the long-term prospects. Look at what could occur if you do versus if you don't. And in every scenario envisioned, waiting and spacing that buying out did good things. It saved you when shit went crazy. It made you money when it went down more. It made you, it stopped you from buying when you didn't need to. And then if it comes up here and does this, well, you do nothing because you're not in your profit yet. And if it comes down here and comes back to here, well, you keep on buying. Nothing has changed. Nothing about the plan has changed. This is an opportunity. But you have to be prepared for this. And if this is what we're speculating, if this is really how we feel about things, if this is really the long-term relationship that we want to have with our coin, with our market, if this line really does represent the ring on our finger, then what we want to do is we want to go ahead and automate this line, this commitment, this motion within this market that we want to constantly be capturing and recapturing and taking advantage of. We want to implement this strategy for dollar cost averaging over the integral of this line. In order to define that, we need to define three things. Four things. The top, the bottom, the total allocation that happens all the way down here when we're fully committed 100%. God forbid it goes lower, because he didn't allocate for that in your strategy. You better have in the long plan, the bigger plan, better have been 10% of your portfolio when you got to down here. See how it can do that for 9 other opportunities. Man, if you need to do this, God help us all, right? Okay. In order to do this, what we want to do is we want to take that plan and automate it. So it looks a little bit different than this because we don't necessarily care about our current cost or, where we're going to DCA or any of these sort of like minutia, as it were. What we're going to do is we're just going to make a broad sweep of exactly this right here, with increasing buys as we get more down here, increasing drastically, and drastically decreasing buys up here. Much smaller amounts, much larger amounts down here. Clearly, according to our DCA strategy. And we're going to program that. We call that a straddle. And I just added one. Let me remove that. ETH USD. Let me just edit mine. Edit straddle. ETH. And by the way, I made it so you can do USD ETH instead, which is kind of nice. Oh, that didn't work. I should make that work better. Oh, I know why. So I chose ETH USD from the menu, which is number 7. And this works similarly to the pivot that you just saw. Here's the pivot that you just saw, right? Where you're telling it how much you have, and we don't care about the position. We don't tell it an establishing amount or the minutia of the allocation multiplier. Instead, what we want to do is we want to tell it some of the same things, like our base allocation. Okay, which is, again, how much we want the strategy to play with. You want to tell it how much it thinks it has.